last video, we looked at some questions on the quadratic expression. So we learned how to factorize quadratic expressions. Okay, so and these are questions that is often repeat in Waec and Neco. So now I've penciled down some questions that we're going to go through today. So after quadratic expressions, we move down to quadratic equations. So we are going to learn how to solve quadratic equations. Okay, so I want you to get yourself ready for today's class. I want to believe you guys are ready, and just like we used to do, today's class is going to be interactive. Okay, so make sure you get yourself ready, get your writing materials ready, and don't forget to invite your friends, your classmates, let them know the class has started. And I also want to say this: if today is the first time you're watching this video, okay, so I want you to subscribe to this channel. Okay, so and also don't forget to tap the like button. All right, okay, so let us invite our friends. Let's see if we have a good number so we commence the class. Okay, Joseph, you're welcome to class. Show me the Aishat Merinet, you're welcome to class. All right. Joseph Pamilerin, you're welcome to class. Okay. Yes, once you join the class, let us know. Don't forget to inform your friends that the class have commenced. Okay. All right. Okay. Who else is joining now? Okay. Good evening. Aishat, you're welcome. Yeah, Miracle, you're welcome to class. Good evening. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good evening, Miracle. All right. Okay. I believe others will be joining us as we go on with the class. All right. Now we want to learn how to factorize quadratic expression. Don't forget that I told you in the last class that a quadratic expression is a polynomial with order 2. A polynomial with order 2, or we say is a mathematical expression which maximum power of the unknown is 2. Okay, so now, and all the questions we have here are example of a quadratic equation, quadratic expression. Okay, so we have this, the maximum power of the unknown here is 2, as you can see. Here 2 is also 2. This is 2, this 2. This is 2. You can see the 2 here. This one is also 2. And we have this. Okay, so now let's swing into action. Now the first question we have here is 3x squared plus 4x plus 1. But don't forget that the first thing to do is to find a way of dividing this 4x into 2 parts, and the uncountable way of dividing this. All right, so the procedure of dividing it is to identify it as sum and product. Okay, so now what is the product, what is the sum? That is the first thing we need to identify. You are going to do that for me. So I want you to type in the comment section, tell me what the sum is and the product of this quadratic expression. So let's see if we still remember what we did in the last class. Yes, what is the sum and what is the product of that quadratic expression? Okay, Toyosi, you're welcome to class. Yes, can you attend to that question? Okay, so what is the sum and the product of the quadratic expression on the board? Okay, Balogun, you're welcome to class. All right, Yetunde, I can say the sum is 4. Okay, I'm asking for the sum and product. Okay, Balogun, I think you're already giving us the two numbers. All right. Okay, the sum and product. Yes. Okay. All right, Aisha, sum is 4 and product is 3. Okay, good. All right. Others can drop their answer. Let's see what you have. So now, yes, the sum, don't forget, the sum is the coefficient of x. That is the variable with power of 1 here. So, and that is plus 4. While the product is the multiplication of 3 and 1. So 3 times 1 is plus 3. Right? So now we need to look for two numbers such that when we multiply together, we have 3, and when added together, you have 4. What are the two numbers? The two numbers must be the factor, must be the factors of 3. So we have 1 and 3. They are both of them are factors of 3. All right. So when you multiply these together, you have 3, and when added together, you have 4. So that means the middle term here, we have 3x squared. Now that we turn to what? That will be 1x. That's plus x. Okay, plus 3x. Okay, that's the middle term now that we have changed, making use of this, plus 1. All right. So what is the next thing to do? We look for the GCD of these two terms. So what is the GCD of these two terms? So the GCD is x. That is the number that can completely go in these two terms, and that is x. So you factor that out. So when you divide 3x by 3x squared by x, you have 3x. And you divide x by x, you have what? 1. The same thing also applies to this. The GCD here is 1, so that's plus 1. So we have 3x plus 1. Okay, here you can factor out 3x plus 1 because it's common to these two entities. All right, so we have 3x plus 1. We are left with what? X plus 1. And this is the answer to the problem. Yes, I want to believe you understand this. So, and don't forget to tap the like button. And if this is the first time you are joining this platform, ensure you subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much. Now, let's look at the second question. The second question, we have 3x squared plus 7xyz plus 2y squared z squared. Now, what's the first thing to do here? We'll find a way of dividing this 7xyz. So what do? We look for the sum and product. So you are going to do that for me now. What is the product and what is the sum? So I want you to drop your answer in the comment section. What is the product and what is the sum of these quadratic expressions? Quadratic expression we have on the board. What is the sum and what is the product? Yes. Okay. All right. What is the sum and what is the product? Okay, I can see 6 and 1. What is that? Okay, sum and product. What is sum and product? Okay, show me the sum is 7, product is 6. That's good. Yes. Marinette, sum is 7 and product is 6. Don't forget, like I used to tell you, make sure you don't follow the crowd. Aha. Huber, you're welcome to class. So sum is 7, product is 6. All right. Okay. This is Moses. All right. Okay, you're welcome to class. I can see 6,1. Okay, I think you're already doing the two numbers. All right. So ensure you drop your answer, what you have there. Okay, so now you compare with what you are going to have here. All right, so the sum and product, don't forget, the sum is the coefficient of this linear, that is the unknown with power of 1. Okay, and this is the unknown with power of 1. Okay, so that's plus 7. So we have 7 plus 7. So the sum is plus 7. And so what is the product? The product is 3 times 2, the coefficient. So we have 3 times 2. And that gives you plus 6. Now, we need two numbers such that when you multiply together, you have plus 6. And when you add together, you have plus 7. So what are the two numbers? I want you to drop that in the comment section. Of course, now you should know that is going to be the next thing we are going to do. Don't forget, if you are new in this channel and you have not subscribed to this channel, please ensure to do that. And don't forget to tap the like button and always drop your comment about this class. Let me have your impression about the class. Okay. All right. So now, what are the two numbers? The two numbers such that when you multiply together, you have plus 6, and when added together, you have 7. The two numbers are 1 and what? And 6. Both are factors of 6. Okay. So now this expression now turns to what? We have 3x squared. Okay, so don't forget we are dividing 7 into 2 parts. Okay, so and that's going to give us what? That is 1xyz. So that is plus xyz. Okay, this xyz plus 6xyz. I hope you understand that. So when you add these two together, it's going to give you 7xyz. This is 1xyz. This is 6xyz. Okay, giving us 7xyz. So, and here we have plus 2y squared z squared. All right. So what is the next thing to do? Now you find the GCD of these two terms. Okay. So what is the GCD? The GCD is what? Now what can divide this and can also divide this? So x can go here, x can go here. What else? Nothing. So the GCD is x. So now let's do that here. We have x. When you divide this by x, you have 3x. Divide this by x, you have plus yz. Okay? Now let's look at this. What is the GCD of these two terms? Now you look at it. 2 can go in 6, 2 can also go in 2. So that means we have 2. Now let's look at it. We have x here, no x here, but we have y here. Okay, so y can go here, y can also go here. So we have to write y out. Okay, now z can go here, z can also go here. We have to write z out. So the GCD of these two terms is 2yz. Okay, so when you divide this by 2yz, 2yz. Now 2 cancel 6, we have 3. Okay, so x still remain, nothing will cancel x. So y cancel y and z cancel z. So now the same thing also applies to this. When you divide this by this, 2 cancel 2, so we have yz. All right. So now you factor out what we have in the brackets here, because it's common to these two entities. All right, so when you factor that out, 3x plus yz, you are left with this and this. So we are left with x plus 2yz. Okay, and this is the answer to the problem. All right. So now when you look at the question, it looks as if it's difficult. No, all you just need to pay your attention to is the coefficients, just like what you have just done here. All right. Okay, now let's move down to the third question here. Okay, so we have 24p squared plus pq minus 23q squared. Okay, so now how do you do this? So the first thing is, now me looking at it, I may not need to write anything. Okay, it depends on how I've trained myself in working with questions like this. But if you don't know how to just look at it direct, so let's follow the procedure. We look for the sum and the product. As usual, okay, the sum is 1 here, coefficient of PQ. So we have 1. And what is the product? Product is the multiplication of 24 and the negative 23. So that's going to be a big number. So I think that's negative 552. Okay, negative 552. All right, so I will not bother myself so much about this because I've already looked at this. The two numbers will be these coefficients, that is 24 and negative 23, because I can see that if I multiply these two numbers together, I have the product. If I add these two numbers together, I have the sum. So I may not even write this. So I'll just plug in this into the expression. Okay, can we do that now? Okay, good. So now this turns to 24p squared plus 24. Okay, let's have it this way. So we have the one we are breaking now. So we have 24pq minus 23pq. Okay, so and the last one is going to be what? Negative 23q squared. All right, I want to believe you get that because when you add this and this together, you have 1pq. Okay, good. So now let's look at this. Look at the first pair. What is the GCD of this pair? So we say that 24 can go here, can also go here. P can go here completely, and it will also go here. So that means the GCD is 24p. So we have 24p. Okay, so when you divide 24p squared by 24p, so you have p, and you divide this by 24p, so you have what? Q. That's what you have. Right, now let's look at the second pair. Look at the second pair here. Now, so what is the GCD? The GCD is negative 23q, because q can go here, q can go here. Negative 23 goes here, it also goes here. So we have negative 23q. We are left with p plus q. Don't forget this sign will change because we have already factored out the negative here. And you can see if you open the bracket with negative 23q, when you use this to multiply this, you have this. This times this, you have what you have there. Okay, so that is that. Now the next thing is to factor out p plus q. So when you factor that out, p plus q, now you are left with this. You are left with 24p minus 23q. And that is the answer to that problem. Okay, can you see that? All right, so it's as simple as what we have. All right, let's look at the next question here. So we have, that's question 4. We have v squared minus u squared. Now, I explained similar question in my last video, that when you have this type of expression and you have a negative here, now this is called subtraction of two squares. Subtraction of two squares. You can see this is square, this is another square. So we are subtracting two squares from each other. So we commonly call it difference of two squares. So when you have difference of two squares, all you just need to do, just pay attention to the base. To the base. So the answer will be v minus q minus u times v plus u, and that is going to be the answer to this. Okay, so there's no problem. So once we have difference of two squares, just pick the base, subtract the base from each other, and also add the base together. But ensure that you didn't change this to this, most especially when where we have negative. U should be at this side, while B should be at this side. So you must follow this pattern. All right? Okay, good. So that is the answer to the problem. Now let's look at the next one. So we have 2r squared minus 32. Now to do this, we can see difference. This is not difference of two squares. All right. So now what comes to mind is, let me first find the GCD of these two terms. Probably I'm going to have difference of two squares. All right. So let's do that. What is the GCD of these two terms? What can go here can also go here. That's 2. Okay. So I have 2 open bracket r squared minus 16. I think that's the same thing as what we have here. Because when you open the bracket, you have this 2 times r squared, you have 2r squared. 2 times negative 16, you have negative 32. Okay, so now look at what we have here. This is a perfect square. Perfect square can be written in this form. Okay, that means it's a square. All right, so now this now turns to 2r squared minus 4 squared, because 4 squared is 16. 4 times 4 is 16. So now the answer to this problem will now be 2. We have these 2. We have, just pick the base. Forget about the powers. So you have r minus 4, r plus 4. So that is the answer, just like we did here. So pick the base, okay, subtract the base from each other, and also add the base together. So this is the answer to the problem. Okay, I want to believe you understand that. All right. So now, before I solve this next one, I want you to make an attempt and drop your answer in the comment section. Let's see those that will give us the answer. Okay, so what's going to be the answer to this question number 5 or 6? Sorry, question number 6. What is going to be the answer to that? Okay, so now try that now and let me have your answer. Okay, so and if you have not tapped the like button, ensure you do that while solving this. Ensure you tap the like button. Okay, all right. And I want to also say this: if you have a topic you want me to treat, ensure you drop that in the comment section, so we can always look at the question, the topic rather, in the next video we're going to be having. Okay, so now drop the answer to this problem. Factorize 81d squared minus 64. So how do you do that? What is the answer to that problem? Let's see. All right. Okay. Okay. I want to believe that you guys are trying the problem. Okay. So now let me solve the problem so you compare with what you have. If what you have is the same thing as the result I'm going to have, and the method I'm going to use to solve this. Okay, so let's look at it. Okay, so we have 81d squared minus 64. Okay, so this is the question. Now, don't forget difference of two squares. This one that we have here, we must have a single base and one power, single base and one power. Look at this. Now we have coefficients to um, a square. Okay, we have coefficient to the square. So we have to adjust this, and we also adjust this such that it's going to look like this question that we solve here. Okay, so what do we do? Now look at the coefficient of this square now. It is a perfect square. So we can write 81. 81 is the same thing as 9 square. Okay, so now this turns to 9d square. Okay, because if you square this, you are going to have 81d square. All right, so this 2 now is now affecting the d and 9. Okay, minus this is a perfect square, that's 8 square. You get that? All right, so now the next thing is to apply the rule we use here. So just pick the base because the base have a power of 2 here and this power of 2. So the answer now is going to be 9d minus 8 times 9d plus 8. It's as simple as that. Okay, so that's the answer. So you can cross-check what you have. Is that what you have as your answer? Okay, good. Now let's look at the last one here. So, so we have 100 minus 2x minus 3y squared. Okay, so how do you do this? Now, I need this is a perfect square, so I will express this one as a square. So this is 10 raised to the power of 2 minus 2x minus 3y raised to the power of 2. Now this is a single base and this is another single base. So the procedure now is you subtract the base and you also add the bases. Okay, so now this turns to 10 minus 2x minus 3y. Okay, so this is base 1 and this is base 2. You get that now? And the base 1 plus the second base, that's going to be 2x minus 3y. Okay, so you have it there. So let's tidy up this. Now, you make sure that the bracket is there. Otherwise, if you just put the negative without the bracket, something will happen. And that will make you to miss it because that negative will only affect 2x. It won't affect negative 3y. So in this case now, because we have written it well, so this negative multiplies 2x and negative 3y. So what we have in the bracket turns to 10 negative 2x plus 3y. Okay, and here we have 10 plus 2x minus 3y. And this is the answer to this problem. All right, so I want to believe you guys understand this. So from here, we now move down to quadratic equations. So what we have been doing so far is we've learned how to factorize quadratic expressions. So now we want to learn how to solve quadratic equations. Okay. All right. Now let's look at some example. Okay, now let's look at the following equations. These are examples of quadratic equation. Okay, so now before we begin to solve this problem, now let's look at this argument. If you multiply two numbers together and the result is 0, once the result is 0, so two of them cannot be a non-zero. One of them must be, at least one of them must be 0, or both of them are 0. Okay, so whenever you multiply two numbers together and the result is 0, it's either this first one is 0 or the second one is 0. So on that principle, we are going to juxtapose that with what we have here, and you see how we're going to solve the problem here. Now let's look at the first question. And the first question we have here is y squared plus 7y equals to 0. Now the first thing is to factorize the left hand side. We have learned how to factorize quadratic expression. So now the left hand side is quadratic expression. Okay, so now let's factor. What is the GCD of these two terms? So that's y. So we have y plus 7 equals to 0. Okay, so when you look at this carefully, now this y is actually multiplying itself with y plus 7. So we have two numbers multiplying each other, or two entities multiplying each other, and the result is 0. Now, based on the argument I have on the board earlier, it means that it's either y is 0 or y plus 7 is 0. Okay, so since these two numbers are multiplying each other to have 0, so you see that this first one is 0 or the second one is 0, as you can see now. So we can subtract 7 from both sides here. So we have y equals to 0 or y equals to negative 7. And that is going to be the answer to the problem. Can you see that? So, all right. Now let's look at the second one. B. We have 169 equals to a squared. Okay. So now what do we do? Now let's subtract a squared from both sides. We have 169 minus a squared equals to 0. Okay. Don't forget, this is also a perfect square. And that is 13 square, right? So we have 13 squared minus a squared equals to 0. So now making use of difference of two squares principle, so we have 13 minus a times 13 plus a equals to 0. Okay, so that means we have 13 minus a equals to 0, or 13 plus a equals to 0. Okay, so in this case, so let's move this one here. So we have 13 equals to a. All right, so or 13, let's move this 13 here. So a equals to negative 13. Hope you understand that. So when you subtract 13 from both sides, so this is what you have. So we have two values for a. So you see that a is 13, or a is what? Negative 13. All right, so that is the second question. Now let's look at the third one. Okay, I think this one's supposed to be x. That's supposed to be x. Okay, so we have 3x squared, see, 3x squared minus 12x equals to 0. Okay, so how do we solve this? Now, the first thing is to find a way of getting the GCD. So what is going to be the GCD of these two terms? Now, the GCD is, okay, let's look at the 3 can go here, 3 can go here. X can go here, X can as well go here. So we have 3x at the GCD. So when you divide this by x, we have what? We have x. Okay? So now this is going to be negative what? 4 equals to 0. I hope you can see that. All right. So we now have two numbers multiplying each other to have 0. So it's either we have 3x equals to 0 or x minus 4 equals to 0. So here you can divide both sides by 3 here so that we get the value of x. We have x equals to 0 over 3 or x equals to 4. So now is 0 over 3 is the same thing as 0, so x equals to 0. So we have the two answers, which are the roots of this quadratic equation. So we have x is 0, x is 4. Okay, so now let's move down to the last one here. So we have 3x squared minus 75 equals to 0. So let's look at the left-hand side. What is the GCD? The GCD is 3. So 3, when you divide this by 3, you have what? X squared. And when you divide this by 3, you have what? Negative 15. Okay, so that is what we have. Equals to what? Oh, sorry, this is 25. Sorry, equals to 0. Okay, I hope you can see that. Now, from here, I can divide both sides by 3. Let me divide both sides by, divide this by 3, this by 3. So if I divide this by 3, I have x squared minus 25. 25 is the same as 5 squared, right? Equals to 0 divided by 3, that's 0. I hope you get that. You divide both sides by 3. So 3 goes here. So this divided by 3. So we have 0. Okay. So now this is difference of two squares. So we now have x minus 5, x plus 5 equals to 0. So that means x minus 5 equals to 0 or x plus 5 equals to 0. Okay, so here, now what's going to be the value of x? So x equals to 5 or x equals to negative 5. So these are the roots to this problem. All right, okay, so I want to believe you guys understand this. Can we all see the board clearly? Yeah, can we see the board clearly? All right, okay, yeah. Now let's move down to another problem here. Another problem. All right, great students. Yes, can we look at the problem we have here? All right, so you have to solve 9x squared minus 16, 1 over 16, 9x squared minus 1 over 16 equals to 0. Okay, so that's the question. So how do we solve this problem? Okay, yes. How do we solve this problem? All right, now the first thing is to look at what we have here. You can adjust this because this is a perfect square. This is also a perfect square. 16 is also a perfect square. So we have this as what? 3x squared minus 1 over 4 squared equals to 0. Can you see that? When you square this, 3x, you have 9x squared. And when you square this, you have 1 over 16. So we are making use of principle of difference of two squares. So we subtract the base and we also add the base. Okay, so we have 3x minus 1 over 4 times 3x plus 1 over 4 equals to 0. Okay, so it's either 3x minus 1 over 4 equals to 0 or 3x plus 1 over 4 equals to 0. Okay, so now what do we do now? We add 1 over 4 to both sides. So we have 3x equals to 1 over 4 or 3x equals to negative 1 over 4. So here you multiply both sides by 4 so that you cleared this fraction. So we have, when you multiply this by 4, you have 12x equals to 1. So when you multiply this by 4, okay, so this times 4 times 4, so 4 cancel 4. And so you have 1. The same thing also applies to this. Multiply this by 4 times 4 times 4. So 4 will cancel 4. So, and this one gives you what? We have 12x equals to negative 1. All right, so here you can divide both sides by 12. So divide this by 12, we have x equals to 1 over 12 or x equals to negative 1 over 12. All right, so can you see the question and the solution? All right, so that's how you're expected to solve this type of problem. Okay, so I think that is well understood. Okay, let's move down to the second question here. Second question. So if I'm too fast, okay, so you can always rewind and go through the class again. Now let's look at the second one. We have 4 over 25 u squared minus 1 over 9 equals to 0. Now the first thing I look at whenever I'm giving this type of problem is check the numbers that we have here. Are they perfect square? If they're perfect square, so the work is easier. If not, then I need to work on the equation. Okay, so now look at this. This is a perfect square, this is a perfect square. So I can join everything together as 2u over 5 raised to the power of 2 minus 1 over 3 raised to the power of 2 equals to 0. Okay, now how did I get these 2? Because 2 times 2 is 4. Now this is in the denominator. So when you square 5, you have 25. And already we have u squared here. So that's what we have. Okay, so now the next thing is to use the principle of difference of two squares. You can see we have a square here, a square here. So we have 2u over 5 minus 1 over 3 equals to 0. Or let's first multiply, all right? So 2u over 5 plus 1 over 3 equals to 0. Okay, so can we see that? So then we can now go ahead and write 2u over 5 minus 1 over 3 equals to 0, or 2u over 5 plus 1 over 3 equals to 0. Yes, I hope you understand that. All right, so now you add 1 over 3 to both sides. We have 2u over 5 equals to 1 over 3, or 2u over 5 equals to negative 1 over 3. All right, so that's what we have. So here you can cross multiply. So let's cross multiply. Now 2u multiplies 3, you have 6u equals to 5 times 1 is 5, or now 2u times 3, so we have 6u equals to now 5 times negative 1, that's negative 5. So here you can divide both sides by 6. You have u equals to 5 over 6, or u equals to negative 5 over 6. These are the answers. Okay, do you get that now? So that is how to solve this type of problem. All right, so now let's move down to question number 3. Question number 3. So what do we have in question number 3? So we have 2x squared plus 9x plus 9 equals to 0. What is the first thing to do here? How do we do this? So before we do this, if you have not subscribed to this channel, ensure you do that. And don't forget, if this class is impactful, ensure you tap the like button. Okay? And don't forget to drop your thoughts. Now, what is the first thing to do? You have to identify your sum and product. That's the first thing to do. So what is the sum? What is product? So now my sum is plus what? 9, coefficient of x. And the product is what? That is 2 times 9, that's 18. Okay, so what is the next thing? I need two numbers such that when I multiply together, I have 18, which is the product, and when added together, we have 9. So I told you that those numbers must be factors of 18. So you begin to think of factors of 18. Okay, I know 2 can go in 18, 3 can go, 6 can go, 9 can, and so on. So, but now let's look at it. 6 and 3 should be a perfect one. So if I say 6 times 3, I have 18, and 6 plus 3, that gives me 9. So that means we have 2x squared, okay, plus 6x plus 3x, yes, plus what? Plus 9 equals to 0. Okay, can you see that? So we have splitted this middle term. So now, what is the GCD of these two terms? We have 2x. Okay, when you divide this by 2x, we have x. Divide this by 2x, we have plus 3. Okay, so the GCD here is plus 3. But 3 can go, it can also go. We have x plus 3 equals to 0. All right, so you can factor out x plus 3. X plus 3. X plus 3. We are left with what? 2x plus 3 equals to 0. Okay, so in this case, we have x plus 3 equals to 0, or 2x plus 3 equals to 0. So let's subtract 3 from both sides. We have x equals to negative 3, or 2x equals to negative 3. Okay, so we can divide both sides by 2. You have x equals to negative 3 over 2, and therefore x equals to negative 1 number 1 over 2. So the two answers are this and this. Okay, so I hope you get that. All right, so now let's look at the last one here. The sum and product. Sum and product. Sum and product. So we have 15 plus 4x minus 3x squared equals 0. Okay, so you can arrange this way if you wish. Negative 3x squared plus 4x plus 15 equals 0. Can you see that now? Okay. Now, you need to get the sum and product. What is the sum and product? Now, sum is what? Okay, I need you to tell me that. Let's see. What is sum and what is product? So drop your answer in the comment section. Let's see what you have. Yes, what is the sum and product of this quadratic equation? The sum and the product. So what is the sum and what is the product? Okay. All right. Yes, Uber, I can see 4 and negative 60. 4 and Balogun. All right, I can see your result. Okay. Yes, Nabila, I can see your result. Okay. All right. Others should drop their answers. Okay. All right. Because of our time, we need to move very fast. Okay. So now to solve this, to get the sum and product, the sum is the coefficient of x. That is plus what? Plus 4. And the product is the coefficient of x squared and this. And that gives us negative 45. Okay, so you need to check your results. Those of you that said negative 60. Okay, now let us now look at it. Now, what are the two numbers such that when multiplied together you have negative 45 and when add together you have plus 4? Don't forget all the numbers, the two numbers you are going to list must be factors of your product. That's negative 45. So I want you to drop your own answer to that in the comment section. Let me see what you have. What is the two numbers that will be multiplied together to have negative 45 and added together to have plus 4? All right. I want to believe you drop your answer. All right. So now let's look at it together. I have negative 3x squared. Now this is going to give me what? Okay. What are the two numbers now? We have negative 5 and 9. Okay, because 5 times 9 is 45. Okay, so and when you add this together, now you have 4. So those are the two numbers. So we have negative 5x plus 9x plus 15 equals to 0. So when you add these two together, you have plus 4x. Okay, can we go on now? So what is the GCD of these two terms? That is negative x. So when you factor out negative x, you are left with what? 3x plus 5. Okay, so here as well, what is the GCD here? We have 3. So we have plus 3. So when you divide this by plus 3, you have 3x plus 5 equals to 0. Okay, what is the common term here? So we have 3x plus 5. You're left with what? Negative x plus 3 equals to 0. All right, so now we have two numbers multiplying each other to have a result of 0. So it's either 3x plus 5 equals to 0 or negative x plus 3 equals to 0. Okay, so that's what we have. So now the next thing is to subtract 5 from both sides here. In the first equation, we have 3x equals to negative 5. Or here, you can move x to this side. So we have 3 equals to x. Okay, so now you divide both sides by 3. So you have x equals to negative 5 over 3. And x equals to negative 3, one whole number, 2 over 3. So, and that's going to be the answer. So we have x is what? 3 and x is negative 1 whole number 2 over 3. Okay, so we are going to be stopping here. So I want to believe you guys have learned one or two things. And if you think this class is interesting, you can always invite your friends. Make sure that you share this video with different platforms that you think this class will be beneficial to them. Okay, so make sure that we have good number of students on this platform. All right, so don't forget, always remember to practice. You practice every day. The more you practice, the better you become. All right, so thank you very much for coming to watch, to learn. Yeah, I want to believe by now you must have built your confidence in mathematics. You should be able to solve any question that has to do with factorization of quadratic expression. So tomorrow is another day. So I'm going to continue from where I stopped here. So we'll continue with quadratic equation. You are going to learn a lot. Tomorrow class is still going to be an interesting class. Make sure that you inform your friends about this class. Thank you very much. Bye bye.